You can call this part 2 of my video on the book sale, and I talked about books that I bought during that sale and my acquired taste for the fantasy genre as well. First few books that I've actually, okay, the first of the books that I plan on reading from that collection will be The Mist of Avalon. And this, as I had explained, is a take on or a different perspective on the Arthurian legend. However, Marion Zimmer Bradley here, who wrote this particular book, it's a trilogy. This is the first of those. And she takes on the birth of Morgan, and we know her as Morgan Le Fay. So the story starts here from when she was born. Her mother Magoo talks a little bit about her origin story, and then King Arthur comes in later on. Most of the characters here are predominantly female, or the strong characters here are female, and that is not a coincidence because Marion in this book, through this book, tries to emphasize the strong themes around feminism. She also talks about how the characters, Morgan herself, Morgan especially, and her mother or her mothers before her actually stand up as champions of the old religions against the Christian God or Christianity when it does come to the land. There also the theme of the usual suspect, or the very obvious element of magic in the story. And then we have King Arthur coming in, and it's quite expected that in this story we're expecting to see a little less than strong version of King Arthur. So I'm looking forward to reading this. The Arthurian legend is quite an interesting one. If you've read Once and Future King by E.B. White, that's also another version of the King Arthur story. So it should be interesting to kind of expand that universe in your thinking or in your head with a book like this. The second book that I will be reading is Joe Abercrombie. I was introduced to Joe Abercrombie in a video that spoke about dark fantasy, or rather about authors that were influenced by Tolkien. And well, dark fantasy shouldn't be new to you if you've watched Game of Thrones or read the books by George Martin. And I'm looking forward to what attracted me to this book is his own version of it. And one of the things that he is acclaimed for is his descriptive power. And seeing as fantasy actually depends on a writer's ability to create a world that is believable, that makes sense to readers, if it's well written or if it's well done, and also depends on a reader's accessibility or quite modest to fine imagining of a world that is believable. Joe Abercrombie does that very well, as I hear, and I'm really curious to read this. This is the Blade itself, the first of the First Law trilogy. I look forward to reading the other books in the trilogy and seeing what Joe Abercrombie has to offer. This particular story here, The Blade itself, is about Logan Ninefinger. There is Glotta, the Inquisitor. Logan Ninefinger is a reckless but talented swordsman. Glotta himself used to be a cripple, or he was crippled in battle, but now is a torturer. There is a mage in another character who is a mage. He starts with B. I can't remember, but these three characters are like the three pillars of the story here, and they drive the story as they dive into a world that is on the brink of a great war, and they are all working towards bringing order to the chaos. Of course, there's a lot of magic, there's a lot of atmosphere, there's a lot of and I believe there is an element of the neo-gothic or the gothic in this. So I look forward to seeing how Abercrombie weaves this world that is going to be, oh yeah, and political intrigue. And I think that's what also I find really intriguing about this book, and I look forward to reading more of Abercrombie's works. I do have these to read, and I have a very short timeline to do so. They're quite chunky, and I'm happy about that. I'm not so worried about that. But I do hope to be able to. I do hope to read these before October, when we celebrate the National Hispanic Month, and I'm looking forward to reading some Latino writers in that month. Presently, I have on my on my Kindle, I'm reading The Girl in the Eagle's Talons, which is the latest installment of the Lisbeth Salander series, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, or the Girl with Dragon Tattoos series. Enjoying that already, enjoying that presently. Not far in, I'm not gone far into that, but I'm reading that concurrently with Kindred by Octavia Butler. For that one, I'm almost done, and once I'm done with that, I will jump into Joe Abercrombie or the Mist of Avalon. Sound like I'm juggling a lot of them, but this is my method for reading. I'm looking forward to sharing with you the lessons and maybe the stories that I will be reading in these books. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you think. By the time this video comes out, I should have some thoughts also to share with you, and I look forward to the conversations that we'll have in the comments. Until the next one.